Coffee Bible. Spreading love across the land. Saxophone melodies play slow. In this digital pew we grow. Everybody in here blessed. Everybody in here blessed. Everybody in here blessed. Everybody in here blessed. Chat's alive with praise and hope. Together we find ways to cope. Dapper style with faith so true. Pastor leads us, see it through. I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed. Everybody in here blessed. Everybody in here blessed. Everybody in here blessed.
Pastor in a flat cap so dapper, streaming live with a heartfelt chapter, reading the Bible year begun. Followers join in morning sun, Twitch lighting up with holy words. Every verse so deeply heard, guiding us with sacred text. Journey's long, but we're all blessed. Everybody in here blessed. I'm 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 blessed. Chat's alive with praise and hope. Together we find ways to cope. Dapper style with faith so true. Pastor leads us, see it through. Morning coffee, Bible in hand, spreading love across the land. Saxophone melodies play slow. In this digital pew we grow. Everybody in here blessed. I'm blessed. 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 Morning coffee, Bible in hand, spreading love across the land. Saxophone melodies play slow.
There we go. That should do it. Must have had some issue going on. Now we're here. So, yeah, I say I've got to work on intro song there. The timing is a little bit off from the old version for some reason. I do not know why. It's still like got 10 seconds of ad. It shows me when it ends, and I'm like, that's not good. I don't know if the ads are coming on a little bit later. That's what it looks like, but I don't know for sure. So I might need to do a little adjusting to that. Maybe I need to add some new shoes, or hats. Well, I've got some new hats that aren't in the VOD, so maybe we'll have to see. Anyway, welcome in. Good to see you, Johnny. Good to see you, Galaxy. You had a meeting with your pastor and lead evangelism ministry yesterday, and our lead evangelizer is going on vacation next week. you're going to be delivering the message to the nursing home. They're working with me to help me with your message, and I'm really excited. Praise God for the opportunity. Dude, that is awesome. That is fantastic. Just turning these off. Okay. Glad to hear that, Johnny. That's exciting. And just some guy with the 28-month. You've been here a while indeed, my friend. That also means I've been here a while then. Wow. Spam detected. That's the first time that the bot has successfully banned someone for spam. I'm not sure what it was. Not sure what it was. It did not see it, so I'm going to trust that the bot did its job the way it's supposed to. So, if anyone else caught it and think it wasn't, let me know. They can always, you know, message and appeal if they weren't a bot. But that's the reason I got it, because I got spammed with, I don't know, like 500 bots. I don't know. No, it was probably 6 months ago. No, it had to be longer than 6 months ago. Maybe 10 months ago I got spammed with like 500 bots, and you know, that messes up the algorithm and all that stuff. So anyway, welcome in. Welcome in. It has been a minute, so let me show you the pond. Fish up at the top of the water there. It is, or what, there you can see one of the little ones right there. You can see a couple of the little ones. Here's the little ones right in here that just went into the pond earlier this year. They were born last year, hatched I should say. Then you got the big guys out in the pond. And then let me show you the, here's the guppies if there's any up close. Oh, there's a couple. It looks like YWS did some redecorating and moved plants around, so I'll need to get that moved. But here's what I wanted you to see. Look at the baby koi. The baby koi are now getting big enough to fully see on a cam. So they're looking good. They're looking good. And I'm seeing quite a few have yellowish hue to them, which is exciting because I really like yellowfish. I really like yellowfish. So I might, they get about 2 inches. They get guppy size. I'm going to try to start selling them, I think. See if I can get any buyers on that. Yeah, it's cool watching the fish grow up. I know. How hard it is to keep an octopus as a pet, I wonder. You know, I think you've got to have a totally enclosed system. You have to have a totally enclosed system. I mean, they can go into really, really tiny spaces. But I bet having an octopus would be fun. Yeah, the tank is sealed really well. You can open the top and climb out if it's not. Oh yeah, you'll have to make sure it's like latched, because the octopus will be strong enough to push and open that. Yeah, you'd have to have a latched system of some kind. Ukulele coming in with the raid.
22 viewers.
Let me get the raid song up in here. Da 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 da. Thank you, Lord, for this great day. Thank you, Lord, for this great day. Thank you, Lord, for this great day. Right where we are. Thank you, Lord, for this great raid. Thank you, Lord, for this great raid. Thank you, Lord, for this great raid. Right where we are. Thank you, Raiders. All right, I'm having issues with my Stream Deck today, so I've got to keep looking down to manually change things. But welcome in, Raiders. Violet Wind, welcome in. Subdue, good to see you. T. Crosby 9, yeah, Ike Ben here. Star Fox Papstio, Ukulele. I'm watching you, people. And anyone else coming in? Thank you for being here. I am a pastor. Been a pastor for I don't know, 20 years, 30 years. Who knows? You just lose count after a while. Been working in ministry for quite some time. and reread the Bible here on stream on a regular basis. So that's mostly what I do. You missed the stream yesterday, got a new phone, and didn't have your login credentials on Twitch. I was unable to stream yesterday because I was out of town, and it just did not work. So, yeah, I have not streamed since last Tuesday. That's an unusual circumstance there to have things happen, because I went to my mom's, and then I went to my wife's grandmother. It's been 430 years of pastoring. Yeah, it seems like forever. So, anyway, in addition to that, let me show you. We're just taking a peek. I have fish. That's what we were looking at when you came in. So here are the baby koi. They are, I don't know, about 6 weeks old, and they're growing. They're fantastic. They're getting some color on them, which is super fun. Here is the sunrise out at my mom's house. Beautiful still day today. I don't know how hot she's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be in the 90s. I'm guessing she'll be up there as well. Anita Diamond with the sub. Dodgy connection today and not support worker here too. Will be listening periodically. Appreciate that. Appreciate it, friend. Here's the big pond and the waterfall out there. I want to get the waterfall covered with rocks this year. And if you look, I'm trying to see if I can see any. Let me just zoom in a little bit. I don't see any right now, but you can see them below the surface. I don't have the in-pond cam hooked up right now. Oh, right there might be one of the little guys that moved out last year. Right there it is. There's another one. You can see it. Anyway, got those out there. Guppy's behind me with Wywis, the Plecostomus, who's done some arranging, and you can see he's knocked down Squidward's house and he's moved plants around. He likes to do that. And then we're back all the way around there. So, you're supposed to have thunderstorms yesterday, but if it happened, you missed it, just some guy. Yeah, there's supposed to be chances of thunderstorms, massive heat wave. Yes, nice sunrise. I know, it's beautiful today. I looked earlier, it wasn't so good looking. Now that it's popped behind the tree, it's really nice. I'm watching you people. A couple hours of sleep. You're still sluggish, so if you don't say hi to you, it's not personal. Good morning and God bless everybody. Okay. Let me just go over a couple other things, but let me get the browser in the window. Oh, that's the right one. Okay. All right, so we are working on reading the Bible through in a year. And we've gotten behind here. As we got into June, we've gotten behind. So this is the month of June. Here's our chart. I'm filling it out as we go because it's on the Bible app and I have to do it all by hand. It doesn't let you open the Bible app on your PC. I don't know why they don't do that. Then I could just copy and paste, or I could just pull it up and we can mark it up. No, they just want the Bible app on the phone. Yes. So anyway, this is back on the 5th. Like I said, we're a couple of weeks behind. We'll get caught up. That's okay. But if you do say hi, it is personal. There you go. Chapter verse, Philippians 2:14 and 15. Do everything without complaining and arguing, so that you may become blameless and pure, children of God, without fault, in a crooked and depraved generation, in which you shine like stars in the universe. Ooh, I like that translation. That's nice. Okay, so anyway, here's where we're at. We're working our way along. We're in 2 Samuel is where we're at. Also, if you look down there, ReachCon F. Okay, so ReachCon F, or Reach 5K is what it was called the streamers to begin with, is about doing an alpha course. We have alpha that will be this afternoon for me. It will be at 4 p.m. EST. So yeah, you know what? I don't think I have a. I should do that. I should. Yeah, I've been here. I should put something in there about that. I do not have it. Also, I should put this in there, which I never advertised. That didn't work either, huh? DC4C is not working. Okay. You met a couple that was playing a game of Crash Word on Sunday, and right afterwards they did alpha videos, and they know you. It's a small world. Oh yeah, there's a lot of people out there. I don't know what Crash Word is, so, but I'm guessing it's words, and so I'm guessing I wouldn't enjoy it. I don't like spelling. As much as I love definitions, spelling is, well, I don't participate in spelling. It's rigged. It just simply is straight up rigged. And that's a whole other side trail we don't need to go into. Because I don't want to, yes, I don't want to get down on anybody. Yes, exclamation point, rigged. Anyway, ReachCon, if you want to go, I have it over here. So that's why I don't think I've set it up as a command. I usually talk about it before we go. So here are a bunch of, ooh, it's updated. So there's some rewards and stuff. But it is, I want to go to partners a second. You can see them down at the bottom. But Alpha is what we're doing, and that's an introduction course to Christian faith. YouVersion Bible app is one of the sponsors. He Gets Us, which is a campaign to help bring awareness and open up conversations about Jesus. Louis Palau Association is a worldwide ministry, and you can see some others here, along with Gate Zero here, which is a video game. Should be coming out in December if they stay on track. Guardians Gold, which is one of the partner organizations. And I don't even know all of these. Here is Global Church Planting. Here's Crew. Some of those are working with younger people and whatnot. So anyway, I'm participating in that, which means we do Alpha course in some fashion. And there's varieties of ways that different streamers are choosing to do it. I have set up a time that we come on about 3:30. I have a doctor's appointment, so I may be late today starting, but I should be on by 4 o'clock unless something unusual were to happen. I should be here by 4 o'clock, and we will do Alpha when I get back from my doctor's appointment. I'll jump on and we'll do that. So, Anita, I know that you are working towards 600. How are you doing? And thanks for getting the shout out for Anita. Yes, y'all get along really well with, yes, the spelling is rigged. Yes, it is. It is. Spelling is awful. And especially the way that we try to celebrate spelling is awful. Like a spelling bee. The kid in front of me gets a word I can spell. I get a word nobody can spell. I'm out. How was that fair? That is not fair. Spelling bees are rigged. Everyone should spell the same word. Also, who goes around spelling words out loud? I should have a piece of paper. I should write down what the words are so I can visually see the letters and sound them out and see if it looks right. Pulling letters out of the air, just, ugh. Hey, Artsy Bible Nerd, welcome in. Okay, enough about that. Enough about me. Thank you all for coming in with the raid. Appreciate that. Oh, I should also say, too, if you look down over there under the dono, prayer booth. I have a prayer booth set up in the local artisan market and working on starting a nonprofit. So if you would like to help me pay for the booth down there, to pay the rent so that I can be down there praying with people, sharing blessings, listening to people, that's what I've got going on down there. So all the donos go to help support paying the rent on that. So I'm about halfway there, and I need to get the other half close to the end of the month, I think. Or can you just not answer to spelling bee? Oh, well, this is what I did as a kid. Spell phone. F. Oh, that's the wrong letter, and I went and sat down. I got it wrong on the first word every time because I just would not participate. So, yes, you can. Just go F for phone and sit down and get out of there. Oh, plus, by the way, go watch Arthur, the Aardvark. When he was in the spelling bee, he won. He only knew how to spell one word, and he won. It was like bogus. Sorry, it just supports all over. I'm sorry I'm going off on this, but you can tell I'm sore about it. RC Bible Herd had a great stream last night, drawing teeth for a fish, and may or may not have swallowed Jonah. Ooh. Well, when you were in school, you didn't have a choice. When I was in school, everyone was in the spelling bee in class, and you had to stand up there and wait your turn. Yes. Yes, childhood trauma and residual saltiness. Oh, I am very salty about it. I'm very salty about it. I refuse to play any spelling game. In fact, you could go back and look in the socials. You know, whatever the latest one is where you're guessing the letters, and I don't know what it is. I want to say Wordle, but it's probably the wrong one. I made a fake video that I got it right on the first try one day for April Fools, and I came back the next day and I did a ploy apology that somebody had, you know, taken over my stream, because if you ever see me playing a word game, it's a cry for help and I'm kidnapped somewhere. And so you could go back a couple of years in my VODs and find that if you want. If you ever... No, I won't accept. I refuse. No, it's not going to happen. Ironically, his vitriol on childish spelling bees is what's making me outcast in mysterious ways. Oh, okay. Let's get into some Bible. Let's get into some Bible. I had no. This is the fun. This is the fun. Yes, help me, Artsy. There you go. That's one of the things that's like I love about this kind of a platform. I mean, I have an agenda, but agenda, whatever. It's not like Sunday morning where it's like, this is what we're doing, and here's what's next, and this will follow, and we've got to be in our time frame, or grandma's going to be upset, or we're not going to make it to, this is where I lived in Texas for a while, so if you know this, you know this. Well, the Methodists will beat us to Lubies. So we better be out of it. Oh my goodness, the Cowboys are playing, and the pastor's running late. Yeah, Aikman here. When I was in school, you were a good speller, but there were people who were better than me, so you didn't end up being at the top finalist, no matter how good I did, but I still had overall positive association with trying and competing, even with the fails and tears. I'm glad that yours was not the same as mine. Okay. So we are in Methodist will beat us to Lubies. Johnny knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. I got to figure out where we are at. The Lord established covenant. Okay, so. Oh, that's right. So David has brought the Ark of the Covenant in, was dancing before it. And Saul's daughter, his wife, is like, this was disgraceful. And so that's the end of that relationship. So we're moving on. Yeah, that's how you are when you're playing words on stream. It looks really... Think I don't answer speller and I'm just repeating words. Oh, yeah. You've learned since you started playing games. I like anagrams. And like learning things. How many words you playing don't know? If it was say a word, focus pastor, ignore a sentence. Sentences to start with an ad. I know. But I mentioned before, there's people who are just lurking. If I don't read them, they miss them. They miss them because the lurkers want to know all the conversation in the chat too. Okay. So, 2 Samuel 7. Welcome in, everybody, if I haven't said that already. We're having fun this morning. It's been a while, so I guess that's why I'm distracted. We got to get revved up here. Okay. The king settled into his palace, for the Lord gave him relief from all his enemies on all sides. The king said to Nathan the prophet, okay, we just have Nathan introduced. This is the first time Nathan is mentioned. He previously Samuel was alive. Samuel died in 1 Samuel. Saul died in 1 Samuel. We move into 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel's about David. The most electric your student body ever was happened to be 6th grade boy in your class beat an 8th grade brother, where the 8th grader had a mental slip on a word, and only time the younger brother ever beat the older brother in a spelling contest. No matter how trivial or significant the competition, the bleachers were shaken that day. Yes, the avid lurkers appreciate the play-by-play commentary. Okay. Okay, I want to go look up Nathan. Why? I don't know why. Because I don't know what it means. I guess that would be why. Hap, warning! You forgot headphones at home, so you're lurking from your work cubicle with the volume off. Does anyone know if my lurk still counts? If you... Someone want to type mute the tab instead of mute the channel. Then it counts. Okay. Okay. Natan. Oh, yes, thank you.
Strong's H, 5416. Nathan.
Oh, Giver. Giver. I did not remember that. Did not remember that. Okay, so the prophet Nathan has just showed up. There was another... was there another prophet? I think there was someone who spoke and it said a prophet, but we might not have got their name. Or they're just mentioned once or twice. Yeah, Giver. The prophet named Giver. Okay. Look, I am living in a palace made of, or from cedar, while the ark of God sits in the middle of a tent. Okay, so here it's still in a tent. Still in a tent. So has the tent existed all the way to this day? It appears that way. Or if it is not the tabernacle, it's just a tent. It's you know, that's where it is. Unrelated, but this had confused me yesterday. You read Deuteronomy chapter 24 at the beginning. My word, the thing about divorce was confusing. I could have sworn you could only divorce out of adultery in the Old Testament era. No, that's the New Testament era. And then the thing about not getting remarried to her first husband, for it causes shame. You were confused. Okay. I'd have to go back and look all of it, but no. New Testament is Jesus redefines marriage and saying the only justifiable reason for getting a divorce is for adultery, because from his perspective, when you get a divorce for frivolous reasons, like they believed that this is not scripture, this is how they rationalized everything out. If she burnt the dinner, that was grounds for divorce. And so that's what he's talking about in regards to things, and saying you make her an adulterer when you do that because there was not grounds for it. So he's taking the covenant aspect of the vows and saying they do not stop. The only thing that stops the vows are adultery. That stops the vows because then they've been violated, but otherwise they continue. Divorce doesn't necessarily eradicate the vows that you've committed to. You still have a covenant with them, and as such, remarriage actually ends up in adultery. Now, I'm not saying that is what we should practice. I'm saying that is his argument, because, and he says the reason Moses had and allowed for things was a hardness of heart on the part of men who just wanted better looking arm candy, or wanted someone to give them more sons, or just lust, whatever it is, whatever it was. he said those were not justifiable reasons. And yeah, Deuteronomy gives several examples of them. I don't remember all of them. Yeah, he took the side of Shammai on this one, yes. But I'm just saying, overall, the part there... Oh, and the part on remarrying the first husband, I think there's a level of thinking around the idea of, if you were divorced in the first place and then you marry someone else in between, or they do, and then you return to the first one, there's shame because there should not have been a divorce if you can get back together again. You didn't try hard enough. I don't know if that's actually the full rationale behind it, but I could see when it's talking about the shame being brought upon it because now you're together again after having not been together, and I could see that viewed as shameful. So, I don't know if that makes sense without going and reading through all of it. Brain unmelting. Yeah, Ike been here. Why then, they asked, did Moses command the man to give the wife a certificate of divorce and send her away? Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard, but this was not the way from the beginning. Yeah, so one of the things in regards to stuff that happens is it God's plan for divorce to be the thing that is what happens to people? No, that's not God's desire. That's not God's design. But so that women and children are not stuck in circumstances where they are unloved, they are hated, and uncared for, there is a way that God provided so that they would be taken care of. They could be able to still survive. And now I know our society operates a whole lot differently than theirs did, but within their society, this was a mechanism that was necessary in order for them to be cared for, taken care of, and be welcome still in society. So it's really about God accommodating to the behaviors of people, not God desiring those behaviors from people. Sort of like the thinking of people in the day of Judges just kind of made up things themselves and rolled with it. Yeah. I'm gonna do this anyway. Well, let's just come up with a good way to do this that does the minimal harm as possible to the least amount of people. So, but that's a good place to look at, is what is God's ideal? And what does God come up with as a way to protect those who are harmed by what we do? So divorce isn't ideal, but God develops a way for those with hard hearts, those who are going to do this anyway. Well, you could otherwise just have women abandoned. They couldn't remarry because there's no certificate of divorce. They can't get cared for, and the husband just takes another wife and is there and just neglects the first one and neglects the children of the first one. You could have a whole bunch of worse scenarios had there not been a means for that. And one of the things you'll notice, I think can't remember if it's Deuteronomy or if it's Numbers, but no, it's not Numbers. It's either Exodus or Deuteronomy, where it appears like suddenly a circumstance arose, so then a rule is created to address what just came up in the group of people. Because remember, Moses is sitting, residing over the people, and they bring the hard circumstances to him. I think a lot of what comes out of Exodus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy is the circumstances that came to the surface that Moses was answering. These are the answers of how to deal with them that he gave to the people, whether he, through conversations with God, or wisdom from God. Either way, these are the answers to how to deal with people and how to bless the people. And I think we have a hard idea that everything is a rule, a law. We would call it the law, but law not in the same way of legal standing of violations have punishment, but law as in this is the proper way to do it. This is the rule, the plumb line of which you want to have everything lined up against. So I think it's more of an alignment to this is the standard, as opposed to this is the rule, violations will be prosecuted. And I think we want to see most of the Bible as the second, and I really think it's the first. It's, here is the standard, try to move towards the standard. This is going to be most beneficial for you and everyone else, especially when Jesus says you can sum up everything in the love God and love your neighbor as yourself. That really, to me, not obedience. He didn't say that. That, to me, just kind of summarizes, yes, it's a standard to strive for. And in some cases, yes, there are more absolutes. But then there's also, if I just say, do not kill, which is often how it's translated, then that means war would not be justifiable because it violates that. Self-defense would not be viable because it's not included in there. But it's murder if you look at the Hebrew. And so it is the intentional depriving of someone's life, because that is the decision you're making, is to go and deprive someone of life. Not defending yourself, not defending your country, not, those kinds of things. So, yeah, ignore that. Okay. All right. Thank you for the aside. I'll go with that. So we have Nathan the prophet, and we have, notice who initiates this. Notice who initiates this. David the king is living in a palace, and he notices the ark of God is hanging out in a tent. So Nathan replied to the king, "You should go and do whatever you have in mind, for the Lord is with you." Okay, this is an interesting phrase. Well, you already have in mind. What do you have in your heart? For the Lord is with you. That night, the Lord's message came to Nathan. So look at this. Nathan appears to speak prior to going to God with this. He says, go do whatever you have in mind. The Lord is with you. Now, I don't think it was necessarily a statement of God is with you with your plan. God is a person who is with you, David. So if you have this in your heart to do, go for it. I think it's just advice. It's not speaking on behalf of God. So I just want to clarify that idea. That night the Lord's message came to Nathan. Go tell my servant David, this is what the Lord has said. Do you really intend to build a house for me to live in? I have not lived in a house from the time I brought the Israelites up from Egypt to the present day. Instead, I was traveling with them and living in a tent. Wherever I moved among all the Israelites, I did not say to any of their leaders, whom I appointed to care for my people Israel, why have you not built me a house from cedar? So, first part is, I didn't request this. I was fine with the tabernacle. I am dwelling among the people. This is how it has always been since it came up out of Egypt. So, what is this about? I don't know. Like, the questioning is here. Why are you looking to do this? Why are you looking to do this? Before we go further, I think, as it reads, David's looking at where he's living as a king, and he's looking where God's dwelling is, and to him, his feels superior, and he feels guilty that the dwelling place for him is superior to the dwelling place for the place of worshiping God. I think he feels guilty over all of the stuff that he has accumulated and the palace that he has built. And if you compare that to the place where God has his dwelling, it seems not justifiable. However, it's the instructions that God gave them to build, and they built the thing according to God's instructions. Yeah, God is humble. Jesus did the same thing. Never really thought about that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I've been here. I like how David went to Nathan and asked rather than going to do it on his own. Yeah, it reminds me of how he did ask God about moving the ark earlier. Moved the ark earlier and it ended badly. So this time David made sure to ask God first. Yes. So now, say this to my servant David. This is what the Lord of heaven's armies has said. I took you from the pasture and from your work as a shepherd to make you a leader of my people Israel. I was with you wherever you went, and I defeated all your armies before you. Now I will make you as famous as the great men of the earth. It's an interesting phrase. Yeah, I think David did learn from that one. I will make you a great name like the name of the great ones who are in the earth. Oh, like great men of old, those who are in the earth, meaning those who are now dead. This could be men of renown, which we have talked about a few places. Men of old, the warriors of old, there's references to that. Or this could just be thinking of, in the line of the people, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I will make your name as prominent as them. But I think it's more global than Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob alone. I will establish a place for my people Israel and settle them there. They will live there and not be disturbed any more. Violent men will not oppress them again, as they did in the beginning, and during the time when I appointed judges to lead my people Israel. Instead, I will give you relief from all your enemies. The Lord declares to you that he himself will build a dynastic house for you. Paul the Dude, we praise the Lord, everybody. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Yes. Okay, dynastic house. I think this is house, metaphorical sense of a dynasty, a royal dynasty. So they put dynastic house and build a house for you, because David already has a physical house. So David is worried about building a physical house for God, and God is saying, I will build a house, metaphorical, a dynasty. When the time comes for you to die, I will raise up your descendants, one of your own sons, to succeed you, and I will establish his kingdom. He will build a house for my name, and I will make his dynasty permanent. Okay. There are several different ways to see this. We can see this in light of Solomon, who decedes, or I was going to say decedes. Who is the descendant who, wow, what is the opposite of precede? Decede? Is that really it? That doesn't seem right. Anyway, Solomon is going to build the house for God's name. But we also can look forward to Christ, who establishes a kingdom. Succeed. There we go. Yeah, my brain was like going, I'm getting the wrong words here. Yeah. Proceed and succeed. Succeed. Yes, thank you. Succeed. He will build a house for my name, and I will make his dynasty permanent. Kingdom permanently, okay. I will become his father, and he will become my son. We're going to say post-seed. I like that. I like that. That makes sense to me. I will become his father. He will become my sons. When he sins, I will correct him with the rod of men and will inflict wounds inflicted by human beings. Okay. This is interesting. This certainly sounds like what could happen to Solomon. But if he's going to correct it with the rod of men and inflict wounds by human beings, boy, that doesn't sound like the beating that Jesus takes. But it says when he sins, I wonder what the Hebrew is there. It'll get too grammatical to spend time digging into that today. Okay. But my loyal love will not be removed from him as it was removed from Saul, whom I removed from before you. Your house and your kingdom will stand before me permanently. Your dynasty will be permanent. Nathan told David all these words that were revealed to him. Okay, so we have the questioning of why, and I didn't ask for this. But there's no, so you shouldn't do it. There's, you're not going to be the one to do it. Your son will do this. Yeah, I got you. You were just playing with the letters and spelling different. Yes. King David went in, sat before the Lord, and said, Who am I, sovereign Lord, and what is my family that you should have brought me to this point? And you don't stop there, O Lord God. You have also spoken about the future of your servant's family. Is this your usual way of dealing with men, O sovereign Lord? This is a fascinating thought. And is this the law of men? Is this the manner of men? This too you have shown to men. May this be introduction for the people, O God. Part of the verse is very enigmatic, not completely satisfying solution has yet been suggested. The present translation tries to make sense of the Masoretic text by understanding the phrase as a question that underscores the uniqueness of God's dealing with David as described here. So, is this the usual way you deal with people? Like, like this seems too great. Too great. Reading the way David communicated with God makes you feel all the better about my random way of prayer, which is basically a conversation with my Father. My prayers are interesting. Yeah, I have a friend who says, if I have a conversation with you, I don't keep saying your name. So he's like, I starts a conversation, and like when you're with your friends and you're hanging out, you don't just keep going their name every time, and you might not be talking for a while, and they're there, and then you just keep talking. So he's like, that's how he prays. So, to totally get you. Okay. What more can David say to you? You have given your servant special recognition, O sovereign Lord. For the sake of your promise and according to your purpose, you have done this great thing in order to reveal it to your servant. Therefore, you are great, O sovereign Lord, for there is none like you. There is no God besides you. What we have heard is true. Who is like your people Israel, a unique nation on the earth? Their God went to claim a nation for himself and to make a name for himself. You did great and awesome acts for your land before your people, whom you delivered for yourself from the Egyptian empire and its gods. You made Israel your very own people for all time. Ooh, that's an interesting phrase. Trigger Boss, welcome in. Good to see you. You have established for yourself, your people, Israel, for yourself, for a people permanently. Okay. You, O Lord, became their God. So now, O Lord God, make this promise you have made about your servant and his family a permanent reality. Do as you promise, so you may gain lasting fame, as people say. So this is interesting. Like, hey, do everything you can because I would like it. No, do everything you can that you've just said because this is gonna point to you. If you do this to me, this will point to you. The Lord of heaven's army is God over Israel. The dynasty of your servant David will be established before you. For you, O Lord of heaven's army, the God of Israel, have told your servant, I will build you a dynastic house. This is why your servant has had the courage to pray this prayer to you. Now, O sovereign Lord, you are the true God. May your words prove to be true. A little wordplay there. You have made this good promise to your servants. Now be willing to bless your servant's dynasty so that it may stand permanently before you. For you, O sovereign Lord, have spoken, but by your blessing, may your servant's dynasty be blessed from now on into the future. There's a little bit of a flavor of going back to Abraham, I will make you a blessing and all nations on earth will be blessed through you, but we don't have that language of all nations in this piece, but we have David conversing about being blessed and being a blessing, and then I think reciprocating the blessing back to God more than we have the reciprocating the blessing and passing it on. Later, David defeated the Philistines and subdued them. David took Metheg Ammah from the Philistines. The bridle of 1 cubit. Many English versions treat this as a place name because the parallel text of 1 Chronicles 18 reads Goth, which is used in the New Living Translation here. Oh, yeah. It is possible that the bridle of 1 cubit is to be understood as a token of surrender, reference to the Philistines' defeat rather than a specific place. So, they just put the word in here. You took Metheg Ammah, the bridle of 1 cubit, from the Philistines. We don't know what that is. It's a victory. That we know. He defeated the Moabites. He made them lie on the ground and then used a rope to measure them off. Okay, again, this is, I think, victory language, metaphorical. I mean, measuring them off, I think that's counting them. I think that's counting. How many dead lied on the ground? He put 2/3 of them to death and spared 1/3. The Moabites became David's subjects and brought tribute. David defeated King Hadadezer, son of Rohab of Zobab, when he came to reestablish his authority over the Euphrates River. David seized from him 1,700 charioteers and 20,000 infantrymen. David cut the hamstrings of all but 100 of the chariot horses. So there's 1,700 charioteers. He's cutting all but 100 hamstrings of the horses, so they can't run. The Arameans of Damascus came to help King Hadadezer of Zobah, but David killed 22,000 of the Arameans. David placed garrisons in the territory of the Arameans of Damascus. The Arameans became David's subjects and brought tribute. So notice that he's making people subject who bring tribute. The Lord protected David wherever he campaigned. David took the golden shields that belonged to Hadadezer's servants and brought them to Jerusalem. From Tebah and Beratah, Hadadezer's cities, David took a great deal of bronze. So there's some specific golden shields that are brought to Jerusalem as trophies to display, and he's taken lots of bronze. When King Toa, okay, so variant spelling, 2 Samuel 8, verse 9. King Toa, Tou.
Strong's H 8583. Tou.
Takes...
And second entry, Toi.
Okay. So it takes a minute sometimes for me to get the right pronunciation. See, I have an easier time pronouncing it when I look at the Hebrew than I do with the English. They don't always transliterate it, which is taking the Hebrew letters, changing them to English letters, just to make it so you can read it and sound it out. So, okay. So, Wanderer. When King Wanderer of Hamath heard that David had defeated the entire army of Hadadezer, he sent his son Joram to King David to extend his best wishes and to pronounce a blessing on him for his victory over Hadadezer. For Toa had been at war with Hadadezer. So, hey, you defeated my enemy. I'm sending an envoy to congratulate you. He brought with him various items made of silver, gold, and bronze. King David dedicated these things to the Lord, along with the dedicated silver and gold he had taken from all the nations he had subdued, including Edom, Moab, the Ammonites, the Philistines, and the Amalekites. This also included some of the plunder taken from King Hadadezer, son of Rohab of Zobah. David became famous. Okay, so we just had God promising David would become famous. The next chapter is about the exploits of David, which lead to his fame. When he returned from defeating the Edomites in the Valley of Salt, he defeated 18,000 in all. He placed garrisons throughout Edom, and all the Edomites became David's subjects. The Lord protected David wherever he campaigned. David reigned over all Israel. He guaranteed justice for all his people. That's an interesting thing. And David was doing what was just and fair for all his people. Oh, okay. He guaranteed justice. He's doing what's just and fair. There's no privilege. And we saw that establishment of the idea of no privilege when David had 600 men, 400 fought, 200 stayed with the baggage, but the 200 that stayed with the baggage got equal plunder from the victory. They had a role. They served the role. Those who went and fought were not more privileged than those that stayed behind. So, all people, equal. Joab, son of Zeruiah, was general in command of the army. Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was secretary. Zadok, son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, son of Abithar, were priests. Sariah was scribe. Benaniah, son of Jehoiada, supervised the Kerethites and Pelethites, and David's sons were priests. What? The David's sons could have been priests in light of the fact that they were not in the priestly lineage is strange. One must assume either the word priest, Cohen, during the period of time could be used as a broader sense of chief ruler, chief minister, or royal advisor, perhaps based on the parallel passage in Chronicles, which has the king's leading officials, that in David's day, members of the king's family could function as a special category of priestly leaders. The latter option seems to be more straightforward way of understanding the word in Samuel. So they were overseers of the priest, would be a way of looking at it. They may not have actually been able to serve in the role of priest, but they might have been overseers of the priest. That makes sense. Okay. Then David asked, "Is anyone still left from the family of Saul, so that I may extend kindness to him for the sake of Jonathan?" So notice the order of which things are happening here. The author is doing something intentionally here. We have David and his relationship with God as the foremost piece that we're looking at, and an expansion of that. And we have the reverence for the ark, and we have that action. And then we have an establishment of we're going to build a place for God, and God elevating David. But then, just when you think Saul should be all forgotten, David hasn't forgotten Saul. So David is going to now go back and honor Saul and Jonathan. He's going to honor Saul for the sake of Jonathan. So he hasn't forgotten. The reader might have forgotten, but that's intentional, I think, in the way it's being played out. Just some guy. This reminds me, I've always wondered why in many countries government officials are called ministers. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Benaniah, son of Jedodiah, Jehoiah. Wow, I can't get that name right. Over the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were the chief officials at the king's side. Yeah, that's interesting, though. The cabinet members are called minister of something. You know, the cabinet ministers, I think that might come from they administrate, and they are an administrator. They are ministering. They are administering. If that makes sense. So it's easier to just say minister. I don't know. That's a cool thought. But yeah. Oh yeah, like the Minister of Defense. Well, that's a little bit different. That's a little bit different. Because that has to do with football. That's, you know. Oh, sorry. You might actually mean a Minister of Defense. Not. My brain was going to football there. Whoa, Bobby B coming in with the raid.
Just rated with 13 viewers.
Welcome in. Illogico777. Well, suddenly, yeah, it reminds me of Reggie White. That's who I was thinking of. Besides government, yeah, I was thinking that when you said Minister of Defense. God bless you all. Thank you, Raiders. Debunk Truck. Thank you for the raid. Let me get my raid song going here, everybody. Is it gonna work now? No, it's not. I gotta go over here. Stream Deck malfunctioning today. Or not functioning.
Thank you, Lord, for this great day. Thank you, Lord, for this great day. Thank you, Lord, for this great day. Right where we are. Thank you, Lord, for this great raid. Thank you, Lord, for this great raid. Thank you, Lord, for this great raid. Right where we are. Thank you, Raiders.
Oh, that's cool. So you found under the Christian tag. Appreciate that. Thanks for coming in. A Christian streamer from down under, if you recall correctly. Oh. So, yeah, the whole raid song is a weird thing that happened by accident of me introing it to someone else and then coming on my stream, and then I used it, and then I decided, hey, I could turn it into a raid song because it's... the original lyrics are, thank you, Lord, for this great day. And it's called the trombone song. So that's why it's thank you. I don't know. The one pastor I worked with did that song all the time for kids. I was trying to share it, and it became the raid song. So anyway, it's fun. Hey, Raiders, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. I am, or have been a pastor for several decades. I was trying to figure out how long it's been. I don't remember. Anyway, I've been working in big, small churches. Well, I shouldn't say big. No mega churches. I've been working in small to large churches of average size for many years. Worked as a temporary pastor throughout COVID and also began doing digital ministry. So I am here. The regular schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I got to skip Wednesday. We read the Bible. We're reading the Bible in a year on stream. So I'll show you that in just a second. Assassinator, Steph, welcome in. Good morning. Which I was just going to mention, by the way, down here, ReachCon F. If you are a Christian, great, you're welcome here. If you're not a Christian, great, you're welcome here. All we're going to do is love and respect and enjoy time with one another. So I do that by spending time in the Bible. People do that other ways. Shoot, I was trying to watch for the ad break. The ad came in. I was watching for it. I didn't see the alert. So sorry, everyone who just got an ad. I knew it was coming. So, anyway, I'll go back to that. But what I normally do, and I'll show this to everybody anyway, is take a peek at my cams while I'm in the ad break. Yeah, you got Nitro, no ads? Oh, that's cool. You're popping your head to the ad music. All right. Bobby meet Steph. Steph meet Bobby. Hope you'll be meet before. If not, now you have. Okay. Yeah, some of you went to ads. I have it set up. So, anyway, finish showing you around, and then I'll talk about the ReachCon in a second. So, when I go to ads, I usually show the pond. The reason I have ads, although I'm standing today, I do have a standing desk. I usually am not standing, but I have that so that it reminds me to stand and stretch when I'm streaming. Otherwise, I forget, and I'll just sit there for quite a while. So this is my koi pond. I built this. You can see the waterfall up here. There's plants up in the top level, and I need to get some more rocks moved around. I've renovating it this year. We'll move on to the next cam. This is the guppy cam behind me, which there is an albino plecostomus in there. You might be able to see him sometimes. He's over hiding in the corner, so not right now. But he rearranges stuff. So he's knocked down Squidward's house, and he's moved plants, so the view is not good. I need to move that. Here are the baby koi. They are about 6 weeks old, and they are in the other aquarium behind me. So they are growing. And then here is sunrise, sunset cam out on Lake Superior at my mom's house. So I do occasionally do streams that are simply for creation. I'll do sunrise streams, sunset streams, or I'll do pond streams. So it's one of the things I do as well. Let me get back over. Okay. Let me see what anything else in the chat. Hey, let's see what Pastor G. Hey, welcome in, friend. Bobby B, you redeemed a favorite Bible verse, so let me know what it is. We'll go look that up. We'll go look it up. And ReachCon, yep. I'll show that in just a second. I'll just see if there's anything else on chat.
Illogical 777 just followed.
Hey, thanks for the follow, Illogical and Bobby B. Debunk Truck, it's not a remix, but your favorite Christian song is Every New Day by Five Iron Frenzy. I haven't listened to Five Iron in quite a while. I am doing well, Pastor G. We need to connect. We haven't chatted in a bit, my friend. Okay, Cockroach, welcome in. Okay, so let me just show you this a second, because we were talking about ReachCon, and if you post the Bible verse, we'll go look at that next. Okay, so ReachCon is a conference. Let me see if I go to the home. Happening in September, the 6th and the 7th, IRL in Orlando. And there's a bunch of streamers who are planning to be there. Does this have that, or is that on the next page? Must be on the next page. So here's what's happening on the days. You can go look at that. Is it leaders? Is that where we're at? I'm trying to remember which page has all the faces on it. And this is a slow responding. Okay. Anyway, Alpha Course is what we're doing. Oh, that might be here. That might be it. So here's a bunch of people that are doing it. So we're doing an Alpha Course. Alpha is an introduction to the Christian faith. So if you're a Christian, great. Here's a great way to learn how to share your faith with other people. Because it's not something every church teaches you how to do. They just say, hey, go invite someone to church. That's not sharing your faith. So here's a way to explore that. Today at 4 p.m. EST, we will be doing Alpha Course, and we will be looking at the question, who is the Holy Spirit? We're going to look at the Holy Spirit today. So that's what we're doing today. We've been doing one a week. Going through, so we're in week 7, I believe. Next week will be the last one of those, and then I'm going to turn around and do it in a week or 2 weeks straight. Like we'll do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday instead of once a week. I want to see if we get more people that come back the next day as opposed to waiting a week, which is the way it's traditionally been done as a 1 week gathering. But anyway, here's some of the people that are doing it. They will, I'm not going to guarantee I'll be there. But many of us will be there in Orlando the 6th and the 7th. There we go. There's Assassinator stuff on the list. And you can see several other people. So if you're not able to catch me doing this, you can go catch other people that are doing that. Yeah, I saw yourself. I know. Isn't that fun to see yourself in a list of all these great people? I want to go just to IRL, meet up with all of these people. But there will also be fun things that'll happen for you if you're there. Oh, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and spill some beans here. If you want tickets to go, I have a pass, a code to get you free tickets. Just DM me or go over in the Discord and hang out over there when we've got it. You'll be able to get there for free in the conference, which there's all kinds of stuff, and there's games that'll be played, and there's giveaways. Go check it out. There's more stuff that'll be over there. You'll be there in person, Steph? Oh, that's awesome. Schizo, hey, thanks. Thanks for the spot of tea. It is Earl Grey today. Earl Grey today. Redeem Jay's in the house? I didn't see you come in, friend. So you don't know if you'll be there. I'm still on the fence, too. It's like, boy, I really want to be there. But my employment situation and other stuff makes it really difficult to... Anyway, I have a lot of stuff that will be happening this fall, travel and otherwise, and this is definitely one of those I want to be at. So, anyway, I can get you free tickets, which, by the way, I do need to go get mine signed up. But here's the agenda. You can see all of that stuff. It's fun. I said what I said. Be there. Okay. And there was the redeem for the Bible, favorite Bible verse. Did you have that, Bobby B? What's your favorite Bible verse? Oh, your favorite verse is the entire chapter 91 of Psalms. I see it now. Okay. It's not very long, but it's just a verse, and it's beautiful. It's an answer to prayer today. Well, awesome. Made you quite emotional. It was given a time when you great need. Jesus is good to us. Awesome. Okay, so anyway, we will be back later to do Alpha. There's more info you can check out about that. And you can go to, this is just reachconf.org. This is such a hard thing to say. I'm sorry. reachconf.org. Okay. So we are going to, I'm going to go over here to a different, pum. Genesis 1, 2, and 3. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters, and God said, let there be light. And bada bing, bada boom, there was light. I like to add action words in the text, but you don't have to. They're not there. All right, Psalm 91. Whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. Ooh. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. Now, it's saying His feathers here. I'm wondering, actually, if there might be a gender switch there, because often when birds are used, it's a mother hen. So I'm not going to go look that up, but I do like to go look up word usage. And they might have just kept it he, because that's generally how we hear God, and there was no reference to a mother hen. But there's use of feathers. But also, feathers of your wings are an extension of the fullness and the covering that God is able to put over you. So either way. You will not fear the terror of the night. I still think that's a great name for a comic book hero. Terror of the night. Nor the arrow that flies by day. Nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness. I've never thought about pestilence stalking. I mean, like, pestilence is sneaking up on you. Dun, 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 dun. Nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If, if you say, the Lord is my refuge, and you make the Most High your dwelling, no harm will overtake you. No disaster will come near your tent. For He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Because He loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him. I will protect him. For He acknowledges my name. Ooh, this is why. He will call on me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Ooh, that's a good passage. I'm glad you shared that. Thank you for sharing that. That's the whole reason I have that. So what is it you mentioned already that it was really speaking to you today and making you emotional, what stands out from here that's why this is your favorite? Because, I mean, there's lots of good ones. So what makes this one stand above the others as your favorite? If you don't know how to word it, that's okay. This is my way of saying I don't see anything on my screen. Uh-oh. I don't know why you're not seeing anything. Anyone else having that problem? I'm showing it on my screen. Let me just check here. Well, it looks like it. Yeah, your refresher page. Now it's on. Okay. So it was you. Okay. Yeah, no pestilence in my tent. Let's go. You just heard of a Satan testing verse? Yeah. Steph streams do be intense sometimes, though. You just realized that Scripture is packed with power. It is so much so. Especially about cornbread. There's a reference I must be missing there. All good here. Okay. I see everything. Yes, and we don't, yeah. The other thing I want to say, that sometimes people may have heard and talk about Psalms and Proverbs, and they use the word, it's a promise of God. And I think that's a faulty way of saying it. I understand the intention of it, but the problem with saying that these are promises is when this doesn't hold true to your current circumstance, it feels like God has violated a promise. That's not. This is a way of describing the character of God that we can rely on, so when it's not looking that way, I will trust and rely on it. So, Bobby B. He prayed to God, protect my home, because there's a lot of demonic oppression in my house at the moment. I'm surrounded by loved ones that don't have faith, and I prayed for their salvation and protection against evil. I have also been praying for God to help me to understand his love. This chapter really shows his love and care for us. Yeah, and what I often do, since you brought it up, I'm going to go look this up. Because he loves me. I like to know which form of love is used here. So Psalm 91, verse 14. This is just blueletterbible.org. And you can go, I use this because anyone can look it up. It's free. So verse 14, Psalm 19, you click on it here. It gives you the Greek or the Hebrew. You scroll down till you find the word that you're looking for. Here it is. He has set his love, hasak love. Hashach.
Strong's H 2836. Chashak.
Okay, so this is not the most commonly used one. Hashach. It is attached love. To love, be attached to, long for. So it's longing love. So you see, it's not a commonly used one. So it's a different kind of love that's being described here, because he has hashakt. He's attached himself. He's committed. He's connected. It's not far away. It's right there. He's right there. This is why I go look those up. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. We are very divided, Steph says, about traditional Southern cornbread, the correct kind, or sweet cornbread. Rebuked, according to Stephalonians 4:7. Well, okay, I might be out of line here, but I like my cornbread with jalapenos in it. Is that permissible? Also, does it matter if you're making a pan of it, or can you make muffins? I just want to know I'm not doing anything wrong. Trigger Boss, all right, let me know what your favorite verse is. We'll go look it up. Psalm 3:1-4. O Lord, how many are my foes? How many rise up against me? Many are saying of me, God will not deliver me. Selah. But you are a shield around me, O Lord. You bestow glory on me and lift up my head. To the Lord I cry aloud. He answered me from his holy hill. Selah. Yeah, your favorite verse connects to what you just said. Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the words, Luces. Geistheit. Yes. You love cheddar jalapeno cornbread. Done right. Oh, I hadn't even thought about putting the cheese in there. Yeah, that can be good. This is a perfect accomplishment to really good chicken soup or chili. Isaiah 58. Okay. And you're saying 4 to 14. Okay. Spicy cornbread is except muffins are good. Just no sugar. But I'm a Christian. I'll forgive you. I don't even know if... Boy, I don't know. I haven't had sugar ones, I don't think. I don't think I've had sugar ones. Is naturally sweet enough and you don't need the extra sugar in your cornbread. Well, yeah. Yes. Okay. So 4 to 14. Bobby B, Christians are so wholesome. You love hanging out with Christian community. Well, you know what? I have lots of people in my community who aren't Christians as well that show up regularly, and it is wholesome. And I think that's why people want to hang out, because if you're feeling down, I challenge you to hang out for an hour and still feel down in my stream. And engage, because people are going to be loving on you. They're going to, just like a lot of other streamers community. I didn't learn this myself. I learned it from all of you, and I participate in it, and I love it. There are so many great streamers out there, like all of them listed in the ReachCon F, and I wish I could hang out with all of you, and I just can't. Just can't. Oh yeah, we're all still a work in progress. Yeah. Okay. Your fasting ends in quarreling and strife and in striking each other with wicked fists. Whoa! Whoa, that is a horrible way to end a fast. You cannot fast as you do today and expect your voice to be heard and high. What? Like, I'm fasting, I'm hungry, I'm hangry, and I'm getting into fist fights because I'm hangry over here, but I'm fasting for Jesus. Okay, they wouldn't have said that. It's Isaiah, but you know what I mean. Is this the kind of fast I have chosen? Only a day for people to humble themselves? Ooh, only a day? Is it only for bowing one's head like a reed and for lying in sackcloth and ashes? By the way, if you do not know and understand the purpose and idea behind sackcloth and ashes, sackcloth and ashes is an external way to express what's happening inside. So when you read tearing of clothes, it's I am tearing my garment to show that my heart has just been ripped in two. If I'm in sackcloth, I'm putting on uncomfortable clothes that might be itchy, that might be awful, that are not ornate, that are not fashionable, because I'm feeling awful inside. I'm making myself look awful on the outside. So sometimes it's sackcloth and ashes. Sometimes it's dirt. Dirt or ashes are interchangeable, but it's I am from ashes or I am from dust, and I put it on myself because I'm worthless. I'm feeling worthless. Like, if you deal with anxiety and depression, I'm just going to put this out there. Let me put this command in there. I don't know if all of my mods know it. Don't talk about it too often. There's all the suicide hotline stuff, and if you're international, you can click on that link, and it will get you the international suicide hotlines as well. I'm only mentioning that because whenever I want to talk about mental health, I want to make sure that I provide some basis for it, but that you can get help. Sackcloth and ashes is a way of externally expressing. We aren't good, really, of accepting people's external expressions of inward emotion. In fact, we don't like outward expressions very often. If you're dealing with anxiety and depression, we're kind of like, hey, get over it and go away. Don't get over it and go away. Hang out, be in that space, and be around people who will be with you in that space. I use a thing around here. It's called Be Nice. So it's notice what's good, notice what's going on. And so when it changes, you notice what's different about someone. And then you invite yourself into a conversation with them. Hey, I notice you always are doing this. I'm seeing you're not doing that. Or I notice that this is different about you. Challenge them to get help, challenge them what's going on, and encourage them, invite them to get help. So sackcloth and ashes was an ancient way of dealing with all of those emotions that are the negative emotions that would outwardly, externally show and share to people. I'm in a horrible place internally. My life is falling apart. I want everyone to see my life is falling apart. I want you to be able to come around me and support me and encourage me. And it's also a way of going to God, of laying in sackcloth and ashes. And oh, by the way, I just heard a really cool thing that scientists have found out. If you are feeling low or feeling down, actually laying on the ground is a beneficial thing. So if you're feeling low, get lower. Like if you feel you're feeling down, go lay on the ground. It will, I don't know what it does, but apparently laying on the ground does something to you when you are feeling down. And I'm like, wow, that's a fascinating thing, because I think people who are down often just want to go lay somewhere. It's natural response that helps us. Okay. Okay, I'm going to finish this and then I'll come back and get caught up on chat, because otherwise we'll get sidetracked. Is that what you call a fast? A day acceptable to the Lord? Is not this the kind of fast I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice, to untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free, to break every yoke. God's saying, I'm not looking for you to give up food. I'm looking for you to give up your rights of injustice that you are purporting on other people. You are incurring injustice. You have someone who owes you money. You're throwing him in jail because they owe you money. You could have set the oppressed free. That would have been a good fast. Fast from that money that you were owed. Is it not to share your food with the hungry? How about you fast so you can give the food to the hungry and provide for the poor, wandering with shelter. When you see the naked, to clothe them, and not turn away from your own flesh and blood. Like, this is how extreme it is. Like your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. Like, you're not even willing to lift a finger to help them. Then your light will break forth like the dawn. Your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help, and I will say, here I am. If, if you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointer finger and malicious talk. So, pointing the finger and talking, gossip. And if, if you spend yourself in behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You'll be like a well-watered garden, like the spring whose waters never fail. Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old fountains. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings. Okay, those are some pretty cool names. Those might be really fun to go look up the Hebrew and then use those as streamer names. That'd be fun. If you keep your feet from breaking the Sabbath and from doing as you please on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight and the Lord's holy day honorable, and if you honor it by not going your own way and not doing as you pleased or speaking idle words, then you will find your joy in the Lord, and I will cause you to ride in triumph on the heights of the land, and to feast on the inheritance of your father Jacob, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. So look at, they're going through the steps of religion they're supposed to do, and they don't care about people. They're selfish, and they don't love their neighbor. That's the problem. And God's like, it doesn't matter if you're going through the motions. I don't care. It don't count. I want your heart. Okay. Let me scroll way back and get caught up on chat. Yes, yes, forever under construction, Sass. Yes, we all are. Yes, this is on fasting. I know not a lot of people are going to fasting passages. By the way, I practice OMAD. If you don't know that, that is 1 meal a day. I practice 1 meal a day, and part of that is to do with my making food a priority in my life over my trusting God to provide for me. So, anyway. Yes, it highlights that why God institutes something is even more important than what? Exactly. Look, did you have a command that? God bless you for that. Oh, copy that too, by the way. Feel free to copy the SOS there is what I just called it. I do have some other ones too for different organizations as well, like Be Nice. I think if I type that in, will show up with that I was talking about there. That's an organization near me. Job 2, 12 and 13. When they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud, and they tore their robes, and they sprinkled dust on their heads. And they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. No one said a word to him because they saw how great his suffering was. That was the greatest thing that Job's friends did. Then they ruined it when they opened their mouth. Yeah, doesn't it make sense spiritually? Yeah. Yes, being close to God's creation is healing. That's why I am a farmer. Yeah. I was thinking that too, that being near the earth. Steph, the repairer of broken walls. Hi, I'm restorer of streets with dwellings. Repairinator Steph. Yeah, it has a ring to it. The emote. Yes. Oh, Bobby. I'll get back to that in a second. Copying the SOS. Talk about mental health a lot. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the... I got 7 more to get caught up on. Okay. Here is my other... Oh, I thought that was in there. Must not be. Maybe it's full Be Nice. There it is. So Be Nice is an organization that's local, which is trying to stomp out the stigma of mental health. I'll put the SOS in again in case you didn't catch all of that. It's right there. So anyway... oh, you're talking about 1 meal a day. Yes, that is my standard practice, is 1 meal a day. So, I have tea. I do not sweeten it. I don't add anything to it. So, that does not break a fast from my perspective. Some people think if it's water, it doesn't break a fast. I go from the standpoint of it doesn't have calories. My digestive system does not think it is fasting or has had anything to eat. It's just flavored water from the standpoint of flavored by tea leaves. So coffee as well, if you don't put sugar or milk in it also. But that's my standard of a fast, is I permit myself coffee and tea, or even soda water that's not sweet. So I make my own carbonated water and put flavoring in it, like cucumber or lemon juice. Does not your body think it's got food and it's changing digestion. But anyway, 1 meal a day is my standard. So I usually eat in the evening about 6 o'clock, and I might snack after that. I need to cut my snacking down. But anyway, when I'm on vacation or I'm with friends, I do eat more meals a day, but my standard is just 1 meal a day. And then I also do fast periodically. I usually like fasting for other people, other organizations, other things that are going on. Sometimes I fast for myself spiritually. I also fast for just physical reasons, not always spiritual. I think you need to learn how to fast for physical reasons, not just spiritual ones. So, I thought Be Nice was someone's name. It's actually Be Nice. Yes. Yes. That's what it is. Yeah, glad it wasn't just you. Sounds like a lovely town. Be nice, Robs. Have some good coffee. Yeah, there we go. Bobby, I would like to know also how I can fast safely. I have been taught how to fast. I've never been taught how to fast, and you don't know about Christians IRL to help. I feel that I need some oppression rid from me, and some demons can only be rid by fasting. I feel slightly called to, but I don't know how to. I also have anorexia, so I'm slightly nervous about trusting in Jesus to protect you. I understand that. So many benefits to the body and the soul in fasting. You had an aunt named Bernice, so yes, be nice would go right along with that. Bernice, or be nice. Okay, I do have some VODs out there on fasting, and as I teach people, wow, we're going in this direction. I have no problem with this, by the way. We're doing Bible in the Year. I'm trusting we'll get through it, okay? I'm trusting we'll get through it. So I can go off on a rabbit trail anytime. Yes, over on YouTube. Yeah, Daniel Fast, eating vegetables and non-meat. Yeah, social. You know what? I don't know what my command is. Yeah, I've been here. You would think that I would know my commands. I don't. Let me search. There we go. There's a link to me talking about fasting. So, oh, Bobby, don't worry about that. I never get off on a rabbit trail, right? It couldn't be me. I have a command for rabbit trails to keep track of them. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Here's where I go and talk about it quite a bit. But what I was going to say is, yeah, exactly. No, this is good. Yeah, I've been here, right? Isn't it? I did not get taught how to fast from the church. I didn't learn how to fast from studying what goes on in the church, or it was more of a, hey, you're supposed to fast, and when you do, you pray instead of fasting. So give up a meal and pray. And that's not really that helpful to just look at it from that way alone. So the way I introduce people to start fasting is when you get up in the morning, just delay your first meal. So and I know depending on your work schedule, school schedule, that may not be a beneficial or a possible way to do it, but pick a Saturday or a Sunday, pick a day off to do this, to try to do that. And if you have medical reasons, talk to your doctor first. You have a concern of a condition that you've had, I would say that's valid. Make sure you have friends who are around you. I'm not giving medical advice when I'm talking about fasting. I think this is both spiritual and it does have physical benefits, but it's not medical advice, if that makes sense to you. So, and you can go study. A lot of people talk about the benefits. So if you ever want that, I can share info with that on benefits of fasting. And I think I have some in here as well as I go through in links. I don't remember. It's been a few months since I redid this. So anyway, if today I get up and I normally eat at 6 o'clock in the morning, and tomorrow I get up and I eat at 7 o'clock, and the next day I get up and I eat at 8 o'clock, I might be able to do that. Okay? I might be able to move that back and gradually move back. But maybe you get up and it's like, oh, a half an hour makes a huge difference. So you do half an hour for a week until it makes no difference to you that you're eating later. And then you back that up again, another half hour or an hour, and you gradually move your window of eating and just make it smaller. So that, I think, is the first step. So if you normally eat at 6 in the morning and you eat all the way until, let's say, 12 at night, that means you have an 18-hour eating window from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. 12 a.m. You've got that, so you're eating for 18 hours a day. Just gradually shrink that until you get that down to a smaller window of 12 hours, and then try to get that to a smaller window of 6 hours or 8 hours of eating. And when you start shrinking that down, you'll notice you don't need to eat as often and eat in between. So that's really where I usually go with starting is, and then giving up that meal. So this is how I started. I did it for like 6 months, just gradually shrinking that window down. And then when I was eating from at noon and 6 p.m., it was, I don't need to have a meal in between those two. So then I was giving up an extra meal by me eating at noon and eating at 6 p.m. And then I gradually decided I'm going to shrink that a little more, and I was eating at 2 and 6 p.m. I was eating that way, and then I just decided I just want to eat once a day. Not everyone does that, okay? Not everyone does it. I'm not saying I do that because I think you should do it. But in the course of practicing things, I do think 18-6 is a really good practice. You have 18 hours you don't eat and 6 hours of which you eat. So if you start at noon and you end at 6 p.m., there's a lot of health benefits that go along with that. It also makes it so that food isn't consuming your thoughts and mind. Maybe it didn't for you, but food consumed my thoughts and mind a lot of the day. Yeah, I ate a lot. I had issues with food. So for me, it is making my whole day not focus on food. So I don't even think about what I'm going to eat until it's time to eat. Instead of, I'm hungry, what should I have? So let me get caught up if there's any questions on that. Oh, by the way, I should say too, my wife has medical conditions. She can't fast. So there are people with medical conditions that can't fast. So that's why I said I'm not giving advice on it. I'm talking about the practice of it. Trigger Boss. I started fasting after reading Matthew 6, the text I just mentioned. Yeah, and also other fasting scriptures inspired me. And also Esther, how fasted and got victory, and many others. And basically, Holy Spirit helped you see why it's good. And Jesus says also something only go after fasting. But remember, it's not the mighty nor the power, but God's Spirit. Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, as I was mentioning too, I think you need to learn fasting as a practice, not first as a spiritual practice. And that might be something different than what you've heard. But let me put it to you this way. If you go for a walk, can you just go for a walk for physical health? Yes. Can you go for a walk and do a prayer walk and do a spiritual practice of walking? Yes. Did you have to learn how to walk first and then you learned how to do it as a spiritual practice? I think that's the way it happens. I think that's also a thing that, like for me, I go for a bike ride. I can go for a bike ride for physical activity. I can go for a bike ride to go view creation and be present with God. I can do it for spiritual reasons. I can do it for physical reasons. I can do it for emotional reasons. I can do it for all of those things. So I think when we approach it from that standpoint of, let me just understand what fasting is, understand what my body does, figure out what I do in it, then later I can add a spiritual practice to go along with it, instead of trying to do a spiritual practice and struggling all the way through the physical aspects and mental aspects of it. So. We love rabbit trails. Absolutely we do. Steph, I have medical stuff, so fasting isn't enough. Yeah. Have to fast in different ways. All about intentionality and heart. Yes. Currently have 2 rabbits, so that works cool. You have a bunny too? Wow. I guess there's lots of rabbits around. Yak Eichmann here. The thing with the New Testament is that food in and of itself is not bring you closer to God or push you away from Him. But if you draw near to God while you are fasting, that's a good thing. I like how you said that. I love that you still try in other ways. Yes. Yeah, yeah. It is. You know what? It has been probably one of the best things I've done as far as disciplining myself is to do that. Yeah. The less you have something, the less you think about it. Mm-hmm. I'm late, but Bobby Ray, Omega, welcome in. 1 Timothy 4, 3-5 isn't about fasting, but it's good to keep in mind if you're dealing with disdain of food, but you need to get sufficient nourishment. They forbid people to marry and order them to abstain from certain foods which God created to be received with thanksgiving by those who believe and who know the truth. For everything God created is good, and nothing is to be rejected if it is received with thanksgiving, because it is consecrated by the word of God and prayer. Ooh, that's a good passage. Being in control of your gut is very powerful. Puzzler Rabbit, yes. Okay. So like I said, I shared that. You can go watch that. You have questions, DM me. Go hang out in the Discord. I have a section there on fasting in the Discord as well, and would love questions in there. Then I can answer them for anybody else that has questions. I would say I'm not an expert. I would say I'm still learning and growing in this area. And I would say 2 years ago, I was like on it. Like fasting was a regular thing. Like I was fasting twice a week, and I was doing other things with that, doing lengthy fasts, and now I'm in it. Sometimes I'm gonna struggle with it. I'm gonna struggle with it. I've done a couple of fasts this year, and I know it talks about don't go sharing your fasting to draw attention to yourself. Well, we're not living in a society where people are fasting and everyone is applauding you for the fact that you're fasting over there. No, they're looking at you like, why? And what are you doing? And I'm also not trying to draw myself to you. I'm sharing from experience and a level of encouragement. So anyway, in case you're going, but it says don't share when you're fasting and don't let people know. I think that's about motivation. My motivation in telling you is not to say, look at me. It's to say, I can help you. And I've learned some things. So, yeah, Puzzler Rabbit. I like how you're here, and we're talking about rabbit trails. Yes. Yeah, it's about your heart, right? Not being Pharisees. 100%. Coincidence? Maybe not. Okay. Let's get back over to, I don't even remember where we left off in our text. Oh, why did it reset? Okay. We're in Mephibosheth. Oh, one of my favorite passages, by the way. Okay. I love this name, too. We're going to look the name up in a minute. So if you've not been around, I look up words a lot. So we will go down that rabbit trail of what his name means. But he was asking about, is there anyone left of the household of Saul for the sake of Jonathan? Now, there was a servant from Saul's house named Ziba. So he has summoned to David. The king asked him, "Are you Ziba?" He replied, "At your service." I like that. I like that translation. Oh, it just says your servant? Okay. At your service. I like that better. I like that better. That's kind of fun. The king asked, "Is there no one left from Saul's family that I may extend God's kindness to him?" Ziba said to the king, "One of Jonathan's sons is left. Both his feet are crippled." The king asked him, "Where is he?" Ziba told the king, "He is in the house of Machir, son of Amiel, in Lo-debar." Okay, so we got a lot of info there, but we don't have his name yet. We don't have his name yet. But we do remember, if you were here, that he was dropped when all of the stuff was happening, and one of the servants was fleeing Saul's household, and he got dropped, and it says from that event that he was crippled in his legs. So not exactly sure what it sounds like. Maybe the gal carrying him tripped, fell on him. You know, I'm thinking spinal injury. We don't know, but he's crippled in his legs. So King David had him brought from the house of Machir, son of Amiel, in Lo-debar. When Mephibosheth son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, came to David. He bowed low with his face to the ground. David said, Mephibosheth. He replied, yes, at your service. All right, we get to go look up Mephibosheth. Da da da. Mephibosheth.
Strong's H, 4648. Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth.
Mephibosheth.
Second entry. Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth.
Okay, so Jonathan's son is House of Limbo, Lodabar, exterminating the idol. This is an interesting name, exterminating the idol. So Michal, who was Saul's daughter, who was David's wife, had an idol that was of a large enough size that she hid it in a bed to pretend it was David, and people believed her that David was in the bed. She had an idol that big. So her brother Jonathan, however, the son of Saul, has a son named Exterminating the Idol. It sounds to me like Saul had idols in the household. And there's other indicators of this. So Jonathan, it appears, is after God's own heart, like David. His heart is tied to David, and he names his son in honor of exterminating the idols out of his house. He has, and this son will grow up to go around, perhaps, exterminating the idols. Yeah, idol exterminator is a pretty rad name, isn't it? Isn't it? Exterminating the idols. It's like Mephibosheth would have been a really great name for the Terminator. You know, go mix that in there. You know, like he comes back in time to kill idols or something, and you know, that would be pretty fun. Okay. Mephibinator chef. Is Arnold's voice coming back? Well, a little bit. I am the exterminator of idols, but you can call me Meph. Now that's a hardcore name. Iconoclast, yes. My brain is trying to figure out how to go get to the chopper in there about that, but I don't know how. I can't make that one work. Okay. David said to him, "Don't be afraid, because I will certainly extend kindness to you for the sake of Jonathan your father. I will give back to you all the land that belonged to your grandfather Saul, and you will be a regular guest at my table." Then Mephibosheth bowed and said, "Oh, what importance am I, your servant, that you showed regard for me, for a dead dog like me?" It's not the tumor. It's not an idol. It's not an idol. Okay. Servant, that you turn a dead dog which is like me. Turn to a dead dog. Like he is not. Okay, so we don't have the temple yet. Okay. However. Oh, what book? We are in 2 Samuel 9. Sorry, we're in 2 Samuel 9. Mephibosheth, being a cripple, would not be allowed to go into the tabernacle, into the temple, and worship God. In that regard, he is as good as dead from the standing of society, because he cannot participate in the worship of God. He cannot go into the temple. He cannot go into the tabernacle. He can't be part of all of that. So he's showing kindness to him that is undeserved because of his dad. And he's extending that to him and bringing that about for him. So it's just, I think it's just beautiful that he is going to sit at the table of the king even if he's unable to sit in the presence of the temple of the tabernacle. I know there's no temple yet, but I think interchangeable. Yeah, thanks for sharing where we've been at. The king summoned Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, "Everything that belonged to Saul and to his entire house I hereby give to your master's grandson. You will cultivate the land for him, you and your sons and your servants. You will bring its produce, and it will be food for your master's grandson to eat. But Mephibosheth, your master's grandson, will be a regular guest at my table." Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. So what we have is a servant of Saul that is brought in. So he is going to retain his service to Saul the king by serving his grandson. So he's going to remain in service. So Ziba is now switching over to serve. Yeah, 15 is a lot of sons. It is. And 20 servants. So there's 35 there. And I'm trying to think if there's a reason for us to know there's 35. I can't think of a connection of 15, 20, or 35. So I'm not going to try. I can't think of one. But anyway, if you have 7 would be the number of totality. You have 12 sons. He has more than that. 10 being a significant number. You put a 2 in, you'd have double that. That'd be the only way I could go with that. Anyway, he's now going to serve him. He's going to go work the land. You servants are the servants of the grandson of the one that you served. You're going to go do that, but he's going to still eat at my table. He's still going to eat here. You're going to take care of him and his property and his family, but he'll eat at my table regularly. Now, I don't think that means daily, because I know when we were there earlier or reading through, Saul expected David at the new moon, so it's going to be monthly at least, I think. It's monthly guest for the new moon at least, and then any other times there would have been regular occasions for him to be there. So maybe not daily, it could be daily. We'll just keep reading and see. Artsy. We are all Mephibosheth. We have done nothing to deserve to sit at the king's table. Oh, yes. Yep. I don't know. I just think Mephibosheth is a fun name to say. I don't know if you can hear. I kind of slur it into chef instead of chef. It sounds like chef. So, like, you know, if I worked at a restaurant or I were to open a restaurant, I thought about calling it Mephibosheth's. Which, you know, I don't know how that would change the meaning of the name. I'd have to go investigate that. That would be pretty funny, but. Ziba said to the king, "Your servant will do everything that my lord, the king, has instructed his servant to do." So Mephibosheth was a regular guest at David's table, just as though he were one of the king's sons. Now Mephibosheth had a young son whose name was Micah. All the members of Ziba's household were Mephibosheth's servant. Mephibosheth was living in Jerusalem, for he was a regular guest at the king's table. But both his feet were crippled. So just a reminder, I'm going to tell you one more time so you didn't forget it. It's in there. Yeah, Mephibosheth's. Yeah, I think that would be fun. Well, I grew up with a Burger Chef. Was a fast food chain restaurant that was there with Dairy Queen and McDonald's and Burger King and Arby's and Wendy's. It was Burger Chef. They went out of business. They weren't a massive chain. But the Happy Meal box that you got was Count Chocula, Boo Berry. So they were hooked up with Kellogg's for prizes for things. Okay. Moving on. Later the king of the Ammonites died, and his son Hanun succeeded him. David said, "I will express my loyalty to Hanun, son of Nahash, just as his father was loyal to me." So David sent his servants with a message expressing sympathy over his father's death. So if you weren't here, we had just read about this, where David defeated someone, and Nahash came over and said, hey, thank you for doing this, showed loyalty to him to be on the side of David because David defeated his enemy. So, hey, you defeated my enemy, we're all good. Mephibosheth's king table dining establishment with accommodations for the lame and disabled. It would be very popular. Ooh, I like that. And God bless the spasming of the loins. The dude have many sons, children, and it was goofy. Sorry, it was good, goofy. Okay. When David's servant entered the land of the Ammonites, the Ammonite officials said to their lord Hanun, do you really think David is trying to honor your father by sending these messengers to express his sympathy? No, David has sent his servants to you to get information about the city and spy on it so they can overthrow it. Like, you know, if you do good to people, they have the thought of no good deed goes unpunished. So Hanun seized David's servants, shaved off half of each one's beard, then cut the lower part of their robes off so that their buttocks were exposed, and then sent them away. So you've shamed them by cutting half of their beard, and you cut a hole in the drawers, a flap, so their butt's showing. The messengers told David what had happened. Okay, so interesting. What is it, messengers? The referent messenger has been supplied for... Oh, they. Okay. They told David what had happened, so he sent them to the men who were thoroughly humiliated. Okay, so it's messengers come, not they, the ones who did this. They are in an embarrassment stage. They have half a beard. Now, they cut the top, the bottom, the left, the right, I don't know. They cut half the beard off. They are shamed. They can't go before the king with this shame that they have of half a beard. So they sent men to them who were thoroughly humiliated. The king said, stay in Jericho until your beards have grown, then you may come back. Okay, so you gotta stay there. We'll let the beard grow out, then you can come back. Which is interesting. Like, that doesn't seem like an embarrassment to me. Doesn't matter. This is what was embarrassing to them. This is what was embarrassing to them. It was shameful to them. So that's why it's important. Yeah, Eichbinder. Sometimes it's hard to do good things as a ruler when other rulers have done wrong. Oh, yeah. What was the spiritual or cultural purpose behind a growing beard? Well, they have instructions to not trim the edges of their beard. I don't know thoroughly if... Oh, ad break. Okay. All right. Ad break, so we're heading over to the fishies. All right, so there is the beautiful, beautiful outdoors. Sun is hiding today. Fish are less active now, but it is windy out there, so that's why you see the camera shaking. We've got a windy, going to be hot day today. You know what? I'm going to come back and move that, I think. But here we go. We got the baby koi. I'm going to feed them. Yeah, look at it. You can see it sprinkling down manna from heaven, and they're all coming around. Your ads are done. I think just the fact that they had different look on their face or lack of hair, people would ask them why. Oh, yeah, well, if you have half a beard, I mean, are you going to cut the other half? They were instructed to not cut their beards, but to grow them. But I'd have to go, I don't know if it says why at all. I don't remember a reason why they were to not do it. It was more that they were supposed to be different and set apart from people around them. Here's one way that they can do that. So, okay. So they're going to grow their beard out. But yeah, if they show up, they're an embarrassment because they have half a beard. When the Ammonites realized that David was disgusted with them, they sent and hired 20,000 foot soldiers from Aram Beth Rohab and Aram Zobah, in addition to 1,000 men, the king of Maacah, and 12,000 from Ish Tob. Perhaps the men of Tob. Yeah, Ish is men, so perhaps it's men of Tob. The ancient version, understand men, or the name to be Ish Tob, is possible that Ish is a didographic, and they should read simply Tob, a reading adapted by many English versions. So some just say Tob instead of Ish Tob, but they're saying, because it's redundant to say men from Ish Tob, it's men from Mentob. So that's why some of the confusion there. Ironically, I started to add that to my question. I was going to ask if it was differentiation between nations, cultures, belief. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, there's the passage where they have the instructions. I don't recall a rationale why it was that way, other than being set apart, being different than those around you. When David heard the news, he sent Joab and the entire army to meet them. The Ammonites marched out and were deployed for battle at the entrance of the city gate, while the men from Aram, Zobah, Rehob, Ishtob, and Maak were by themselves in the field. Okay, so here's a really interesting thing to think about. David has good motives. People give advice that David doesn't have good motives, and now it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that David is out to harm you. Why? Because we insult you, we respond to you, and then we arm for battle, and lo and behold, David shows up to fight. Really? Really? So he comes to wish you well, you reject it. Not only do you reject it, you embarrass him. He's outraged by it. You find out he's outraged about it, but he hasn't taken any action against you. So what do? You arm for battle, and whoop-de-doo. What do you know? David shows up for battle that you initiated. Like, think about this in your relationships at times. Are you misreading? Are you misreading someone's motivation? I especially say this. You get a text message, you get an email, and it sounds like someone's upset with you. Talk in person. I mean, it doesn't mean, voice. Okay? So you can hear the tenor of their voice. You can hear, are they upset? Usually when I get one of those, I just reply back to the person, hey, I think we need to talk. We need to talk. You can do a voice, you can do a video, you can do an IRL, but it needs to be, I hear you, and we converse. We're not going back and forth and talking over each other or misunderstanding with written communication. Go past that. I also think that's a good practice too. If you see a post by somebody that, even if it is a VOD, that you understand what their motivation was and all of those. When you respond to a text or somebody's responding to a post and they're chiming in with something, give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe you're misinterpreting their motivation for what they're writing. Or maybe they're misspeaking, or maybe they're emphasizing. You know, they put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. You know. It would seem like an Old Testament parallel on how we are told you in the world but not of it, royal priesthood, a holy nation. Yeah, you are a chosen people, royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people belonging to the Lord, that you might declare the praise of him who called you out of darkness into the wonderful light. Yeah, to be in the world, but not of it. Yes. BRB? All right. Okay. So we've got an escalation here because somebody wanted to send well wishes because of the ruler dying. Totally misread. We never have misread motivations in wars over silliness. Never. When David heard the news, he sent Joab. I read that. Okay. When Joab saw the battle would be fought on two fronts, he chose some of Israel's best men and deployed them against the Arameans. He put his brother Abishai in charge of the rest of the army, and they were deployed against the Ammonites. Joab said, if the Arameans start to overpower me, you come to my rescue. If the Ammonites start to overpower you, I will come to your rescue. Be strong. Let's fight bravely for the sake of our people and the cities of our God. The Lord will do what he decides is best. So Joab and his men marched out to do battle with the Arameans, and they fled before him. When the Ammonites saw the Arameans flee, they fled before his brother Abishai and went into the city. Joab withdrew from fighting the Ammonites and returned to Jerusalem. When the Arameans realized that they had been defeated by Israel, they consolidated their forces. Then Hadadezer sent for Arameans from beyond the Euphrates River, and they came to Helam Shobach. The general in command of Hadadezer army led them. When David was informed, he gathered all Israel, crossed the Jordan River, and came to Helim. So now David is informed. He gathers all Israel, and they cross the Jordan. David is joining in the battle now. The Arameans deployed their forces against David and fought with him. The Arameans fled before Israel. David killed 700 Aramean charioteers, 40,000 foot soldiers. Okay, so we could be reading these numbers, and there's a book coming out in 2 years that's going to talk about like these large numbers and military numbers. 700, 7 the number of totality of completeness. 700 charioteers. He killed the total of them. 40,000 foot soldiers. 1,000 is a large number. You multiply 1,000 or 10,000 by a number to get a significantly large number. 40,000, 40 the number of testing. We could be looking at that as what's being symbolized here. He also struck down Shobach, the general in command of the army. He died there. When all the kings who were subject to Hadadezer saw that they were defeated by Israel, they made peace with Israel and became subjects of Israel. The Arameans were no longer willing to help the Ammonites. So, yeah, you're over there. You defeated all of us. So it's kind of like we got to go to tribal territories. So later on, when there's two kingdoms and the northern kingdoms get conquered and they become subject to, but the southern kingdom doesn't, it's that. Like they got defeated, so then we're going to be subject to another nation and pay tribute. So they've lost part of it. They've lost part of it. All right. In the spring of the year, at the time when kings normally conduct war. So we just had a war that happened. Trying to remember if there's something in here that's in the text that's going to be in the footnotes. Let me look. Is messengers, probably as a result of the contaminated occurrence in verse 4. The tradition follows the Hebrew. Kings. Okay. So instead of some manuscripts, it sounds like the time when messengers normally conduct war, which would be weird. So conducting war, go out to war. David sent out Joab with his officers and the entire Israelite army. So we just had a battle that was described up above where David sends troops, Joab splits troops, David later joins the fight. So it appears that David has started to reside in Jerusalem and stay in kingship instead of going out to battle. He has others below him. He's letting them do the work. We saw a little hint of it before, but he does join the battle and they win. Here, he's not. He's not doing what he as a king should do. Remember, the people wanted a king who would fight their battles for them. To go out, and Saul does that, and Saul's not real good at it. Now David's doing it. David has been really good at it. Now he's not doing it. Okay. They defeated the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah, but David stayed behind in Jerusalem. The disjunctive clause, David's inactivity with the army's activity. So we've got a contrast. The army is active. David has stayed behind. This sounds like Saul. Saul hides among the baggage. He doesn't go out to battle. David has been the courageous one. What is going on here? We should be alerted that something is wrong. One evening, David got up from his bed and walked around on the roof of his palace. From the roof, he saw a woman bathing. Now, this woman was very attractive. So David sent someone to inquire about the woman. The messenger said, "Isn't that Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" Okay, this should be the end of the conversation. She's married. That should be the end of the conversation. David sent messengers to get her. She came to him, and he went to bed with her. Now, at the time, she was in the process of purifying herself from her menstrual uncleanness. Redeemed Guide to Raid, Webby Pumpkin. All right, I don't know if I know Webby Pumpkin. Okay, this is just telling us it's an interjection. Okay, so she is in the cleansing process of this. So this should probably tell us her level of fertility. Is probably what that's trying to do there. Tell us her fertility prospects. Then she returned to her home. The woman conceived and then sent word to David saying, "I'm pregnant." So now I know people will kind of try to pick on Bathsheba and say, why does she do this? She has a husband. She's been ordered by the king to show up, okay? What power does she have to resist and reject the king? We're given nothing to do with her motivation. We're not really given to do with David's motivation other than it says she was attractive, he took action. That's his motivation. We don't need to, we understand what that is. Her motivation, not taken care of or not mentioned at all. I don't think we're supposed to know or need to know. So David sent a messenger to Joab and said, "Send me Uriah the Hittite." So Joab sent Uriah to David. When Uriah came to David, David asked about how Joab and the army were doing and how the campaign was going. Then David said to Uriah, "Go down to your home and relax." When Uriah left the palace, the king sent a gift to him, but Uriah stood at the door of the palace with all the servants of his lord. He did not go down to his house. Okay, what we're supposed to do is see this really, really sharp contrast of the things that Uriah is willing to do and not willing to do with what David is willing to do and not willing to do, just like we saw with David and Saul. Saul was willing to kill the Lord's anointed and come against David. David was never willing to do that. He even felt guilty for cutting the corner of the garment off of Saul. He had guilt over it. He was guilt-riddled with it and confessed that as sin. In regards to his treatment of Saul, God's anointed, he had a distinctive, here's how you act, here's how you don't, and Saul was the opposite. Here we're going to see, in regards to the treatment of someone's wife and your men who are out doing battle, we have Uriah and his righteousness towards his men and what he will and won't do, and David's lack of that. That's what we're supposed to be seeing here. We've flip-flopped David from being the one that we look at with the good model to the one we're looking at as the counter to the good example, which should be a warning of what happens when you get power and when you have prestige and you don't do the things that you should be doing. Okay. So they informed David, Uriah has not gone down to his house. So David said to Uriah, haven't you just arrived from a journey? Why haven't you gone down to your house? Uriah replied to David, the ark and Israel and Judah reside in temporary shelters, and my lord Joab and my lord's soldiers are camping in an open field. Should I go to my house to eat and drink and go to bed with my wife? Okay, if you didn't catch this, David was upset about the fact that the ark lived in a tent and didn't have a dwelling place. And now Uriah has said the same thing. The ark is dwelling in a tent. It's not dwelling in a house. Shouldn't I, just like all my men and the ark of God, not go into my house until the ark and the men have returned to their dwelling place? I'm not going to do something that's privileged for me to do that they don't have the privilege of doing. Yes, exactly. Yeah, earlier. David replied, indeed, women have been kept from us as usual whenever I set out. The men's things are holy, even on missions that are not holy. How much more so today? Yeah, exactly. So in the past, David has said, no, when we go off to war, we are going to be holy warriors. We're going to abstain from things so that we are purified, even when our objectives may not be, or may make us unclean, I should say. When our objectives make us unclean, we're going to go into them being clean. Which then should also go back to the fact that she was in the process of making herself clean, so David makes her unclean. Wow, we've got a lot of different things going on there. As surely as you are alive, I will not do this thing. So David said to Uriah, stay here another day. Tomorrow I will send you back. So Uriah stayed in Jerusalem both that day and the following one. Then David summoned him. He ate and drank with him and got him drunk. But in the evening he went out to sleep on his bed with his servants of his Lord. He did not go down to his own house. So David gets him drunk to try to get him to sleep with his wife. Who did this? Who else do we know of that got someone drunk so that they could get someone pregnant? Yeah, I know you're going to know this. I know you're going to know this. I'm going to fill my mug up. I'm going to refill while you get into that. You should know that. Yes, Lot's daughters. I knew you guys would know that. Lot's daughters do that. They get their father drunk so that they can have children. Here, David is he has got Uriah drunk to cover up his wife's already existing pregnancy. You see all of the things that David is violating here in comparison to the things that Uriah is upholding to. You're back? Okay, great. Okay. He won't go to his house. He won't go to his house. It's just like again and again. I won't go back. I won't go to the house. I won't go to the house. My men are not at home. I'm not going to take advantage of it. In the morning, David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it with Uriah. In the letter he wrote, station Uriah at the front in the thick of the battle and then withdraw from him so he can be cut down and killed. Okay. Furthermore, you got strawberries. Awesome. It was all fighting the battle in spring. So here's a note to give to your commanding officer. Here, take this note with you, good sir. Take this note with you, good sir, who is upshowing his righteousness compared to mine while I am violating and have violated his wife. Here, take this note to your commanding officer, which is your death certificate. You carry the death certificate to your commanding officer, who's going to send you into battle and withdraw so you die. Da-da-da. I'm clean over here. Are you kidding me? Good grief. Like, you see the progression. I hope you see the progression of David's David's misjudgment. I'll just go with that. He starts out with misjudgment of not going out to battle, of thinking he is more, it's too dangerous for him, perhaps, to go to battle. He needs to be the king and be kept away. So he just sends men to do that from now on. I don't go anymore. He takes a misdeed, a misstep in one direction. He then pursues something else. He investigates it. He finds out something that should have stopped him. He pursues it even further. Then there's consequences that come about because of those continued missteps in the wrong direction, going off the path, off the straight, off the righteousness, and now he's down that path. And to cover up what he's done, he takes another step, and another step, and another step. I mean, he is going down the path and continuing on that journey. Yeah, Uriah was so righteous that either he did not read the note, keeping it complete confidence, or he did read it and delivered it anyway, trusting the Lord. Exactly. It doesn't matter if Uriah read it or not. If he didn't read it, what a righteous, good soldier did. If he did read it, he still did it. Yeah, what a good, yeah, exactly. So as Joab kept watch on the city, he stationed Uriah at the place where he knew the best enemy soldiers were. When the men of the city came out and fought with Joab, some of David's soldiers fell in battle. Uriah the Hittite also died. When Joab sent a full battle report to David, he instructed the messenger as follows. When you finish giving the battle report to the king, if the king becomes angry and asks you, why did you go so close to the city to fight? Didn't you realize they would shoot from the wall? Who struck down Abimelech, the son of Uriah Bethesh? Didn't a woman throw an upper millstone down on him from the wall so that he died in Tebez? Why did you go so close to the wall? Just say to him, your servant Uriah the Hittite is also dead. Okay, so if you don't remember this one, this is in the time of the judges. This is in the time of the judges when people did what was right in their own sight. And this is should be pointing us back to David has just done what is right in his own sight. David has just done what is right in his own sight. So the messenger departed. When he arrived, he informed David of all the news that Joab had sent with him. The messenger said to David, the men overpowered us and attacked us in the field, but we forced them to retreat all the way to the door of the city gate. Then the archer shot at your servants from the wall, and some of the king's soldiers died. Your servant Uriah the Hittite is also dead. So he doesn't give, it doesn't sound like in the report, he just adds that. Like, I'm not even going to give the king a chance to ask. Clearly there's something here. I just give it, or it's just summarizing it. But it feels like, he didn't give David a chance to ask. He just, like, summarized this, shortened up the battle thing, and said, yeah, Uriah's dead. That's got to be some code, and it's good. David sent a messenger. Tell Joab, don't let this thing upset you. There is no way to anticipate whom the sword will cut down. Press the battle against the city and conquer it. Encourage him with these words. So, look at this cover-up. There's no telling who will be cut down by the sword. Unless you leave them there to die. Oh my goodness. Joab intentionally did a bad battle strategy in order to fulfill the king's command. Meaning not only Uriah died, but other soldiers died as a result. Yeah. It pointed out. The consequence was not just Uriah who died. You know what we did not do? We didn't look up Uriah. We'll look it up now. When Uriah's wife heard that her husband Uriah was dead, she mourned for him. When the time of mourning was past, David had her brought to his palace. She became his wife, and she bore him a son. But what David had done upset the Lord. Okay, what's interesting here, time of mourning, usually, I think, is a year's time. So that would be after the child would have been born, but it's summarizing it in a shorter, condensed version. Maybe she sped up the time of mourning. because of the pregnancy. But anyway, let's go look up Uriah. 2 Samuel 11. There might be different references to time of mourning. Yeah, Ike been here, so there might be different times of mourning. One might be death, one might be widow. You know, mourning being a widow versus mourning a death. So, God is my light. So, Uriah is not a Hittite name. God is my light or my flame. So we have God is my light shining over here against the actions of David. Like, yeah, if you don't catch what's going on in the story, you're missing quite a bit. Okay, so the Lord said to Nathan. So we had Nathan earlier, which came to David about building the temple. He's not going to do it. His son will do it. And there's a part of he has blood on his hands. I don't know if we mentioned that earlier. That'll get mentioned later. But so the Lord sent Nathan to David. When he came to David, Nathan said, there were 2 men in a certain city, one rich and the other poor. This is so fascinating to me. He tells him a parable. Nathan comes and tells him a parable. Why? So that the meaning can be hidden from David until David can realize that he is the one in the story. I just love this. I love this. And I love how VeggieTales kind of does this. I think they do a good job with this one. The rich man had a great many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing except a little lamb he had acquired. He raised it and grew up alongside of him and his children. It used to eat his food, drink from his cup, sleep in his arms. It was just like a daughter to him. King George and the Ducky. It makes the proverb, what happens in the dark always comes to light, hit different. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because Uriah is the light. The light of God that is shining in the darkest deeds that you've done, my friend. Ooh! Ooh, that's good. When a traveler arrived at the rich man's house, he did not want to use one of his own sheep or cattle to feed the traveler who had come to visit him. Instead, he took the poor man's lamb and cooked it for the man who had come to visit. Then David became very angry at this man. He said to Nathan, as surely as the Lord lives, the man who did this deserves to die, because he committed this cold-hearted crime. He must pay for the lamb 4 times over. He did not have, because he did not have compassion. Cold-hearted crime. I like that. He did not have compassion. Okay, with the exception of the Lucian recession, the old Greek translations here, 7-fold rather than 4-fold. A reading of S.R. Driver, though probably to the original reading. Okay, specifies 4-fold repayment of a stolen sheep. Okay, so Exodus tells us it's 4-fold for a stolen sheep. So that's pointing that David knows his text. If you steal a sheep, you pay it 4-fold. Which is consistent with 2 Samuel 2:16. Okay. Oh, the Targums and the Syriac exaggerate it to 40-fold. Okay. Yeah, there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. What you have said in the dark will be heard in the daylight. And what you whispered in the ear of the inner room will be proclaimed on the rooftops. Yes. If a man steals an ox or a sheep and slaughters it or sells it, he must pay back 5 head for cattle for the ox and 4 sheep for the sheep. So, David knows the law in regards to sheep. And he is outraged by what this man did. Nathan said to David, "You are that man. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, said. I chose you to be king over Israel, and I rescued you from the hand of Saul. I gave you your master's house and put your master's wives in your arms. Into your chest, the words I put are supplied." Okay. This would have been a common practice of taking the wives of the former king, which is usurping their authority and keeping them from raising up children that would come against you. So, I know, weird, icky, but whatever. We don't have to worry about it today. I also gave you the house of Israel and Judah, and if if all that somehow seems insignificant, I would have given you so much more as well. Why have you shown contempt for the Lord's decrees by doing what is evil in my sight? You have struck down the light of God the Hittite with the sword, and have taken his wife to be your wife. You have killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. So now the sword will not depart from your house. For you have despised me by taking the wife of Uriah the Hittite as your own. This is what the Lord has said. I am about to bring disaster on you from inside your own household. Right before your eyes, I will take your wives and hand them over to your companion. He will go to bed with your wives in broad daylight. Although you acted in secret, I will do this thing before all Israel and in broad daylight. So you did this in secret, thought you could get away with it. Everyone's going to see what happens to you. This is one of those times I wince and think, brah, stop putting God in your view of justice vengeance, because you just set yourself up with that one forehead slap. Yes, Absalom will equal the sword. Yes. Then David exclaimed to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. Nathan replied to David, yes, and the Lord has forgiven your sin. You are not going to die. Nevertheless, because you have treated the Lord with such contempt, in this matter, the son who has been born to you will certainly die. Okay. So, unlike what we see Saul, when Saul is confronted with his actions, we see David in repentance. We see David in repentance. This is why he can be called a man after God's own heart. He seeks repentance when he has sin pointed out to him. I've been here. I've been told that public perception of David taking a slain soldier's wife would have been, what a considerate king for taking care of a fallen soldier's beloved. But the prophet let David know that God saw the real heart behind what was going on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, it would have been an honoring thing to Bathsheba to become a king's wife. So, yeah, it would have seen as an honoring thing and honoring the general because, yeah, or the soldier. Yep. He is redeeming the name of, perhaps, redeeming the name of Uriah the Hittite by acting as the kinsman redeemer for him. Then Nathan, oh, sorry. Xanadu Peach, welcome in. Then Nathan went to his home. The Lord struck the child of Uriah's wife, had bore to David, and the child became very ill. Then David prayed to God for the child and fasted. Okay, we had fasting earlier talking about this. So fasting is abstaining from food, is the natural way of understanding. So he is not eating. Also, when we often are very emotional, we don't want to eat. So his heart is going to God in repentance, and along with that, he is relying on God and not eating. He would even go and spend the night lying on the ground. The elders of his house stood over him and tried to lift him from the ground, but he was unwilling and refused to eat food with them. Okay, so the servants are trying to help him. He's lying on the ground. He's downcast. He's downtrodden. And doesn't say he did sackcloth or ashes, but he is fasting and mourning. On the seventh day, the child died. So 7 being symbolic of the totality, the completeness of this episode. So it doesn't have to actually be literally 7 days, but on the 7th day is symbolic. But the servants of David were afraid to inform him the child had died. For they said, while the child was still alive, he would not listen to us when we spoke to him. How can we tell him the child is dead? He will do himself harm. So their motivation isn't out of fear of him harming them. Their motivation out is he will harm himself. That's a fascinating thought. Yeah, okay, so they're saying it's intentionally vague in the Hebrew. It could be themselves or him, but they're translating it self-harm. When David saw that his servants were whispering to one another, he realized the child was dead. So he knows what's up, because they're not saying anything. So David asked his servants, is the child dead? They replied, yes, he's dead. So David got up from the ground, bathed, put on oil, changed his clothes. He went to the house of the Lord and he worshiped. His response to his punishment is to get cleaned up. He is going to not go touch the body, but he's going to go worship. So in order to do that, he has to purify himself, get cleaned up, and go there. So I'm pointing out, he doesn't go in to touch the body because that would have made him unclean ceremonially to be able to go in and worship God. Then when he entered his palace, he requested that food be brought to him, and he ate. His servant said to him, what is this that you have done? While the child was still alive, you fasted and wept. When the child was dead, you got up and ate food. He replied, while the child was still alive, I fasted and wept because I thought, perhaps the Lord will show pity and the child will live. But now that he is dead, why should I fast? Am I able to bring him back at this point? Okay, so there's no need to fast anymore. I can't change things. I was fasting in an attempt to go to God in humility and reverence and sorrow and see if God would change his mind. The child's dead. God's not changing his mind now. So it's too late. Child's dead. So it's clearly not thinking about redeeming a, redoing a, or resurrection. That's what I was trying to think. Clearly not thinking about resurrection. Hey, welcome in, King Quack Attack. Clearly I already have someone who did redeem a raid earlier today, King. So I'll have to do that perhaps on Thursday. I need to set that up because I thought I had it set up. You could only redeem it once per stream, but maybe I have it not set up correctly. But hey, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Okay. But the child is dead. Why should I fast? Am I able to bring him back at this point? I will go to him, but he cannot return to me. Now, people take this passage and they say that this passage is a passage that tells you that babies go to heaven. No, he's talking about the child is dead. He won't return from the dead to him. He will end up going to the grave just like his child. This is a statement about death. This is not a statement about afterlife. Okay? I will go to him. What does that mean? I'll be dead. Not he's in heaven and I'll go to heaven. No, that's not, it doesn't say that. I will go to him. The point was the child was dead. We're talking about the child being dead, not being alive. The child, however old it is, was 7 days of being sick and died. Now David is saying he's fasted and mourned. He's not coming back to life. I will go to him, meaning I will go to the dead. That's what this is about. And you might hear other people saying it otherwise. There is nothing in the context to me that says David is thinking anything about an eternal state. He's thinking about death. He's thinking about death in the context. So David comforted his wife Bathsheba. Now notice this. Until the child is dead, she is the wife of Uriah the Hittite. Now she finally is David's wife Bathsheba. What does Bathsheba mean? Where was it? Oh, there it is. Bathsheba.
Strong's H 1339. Bathsheba. Bathsheba.
Daughter of an oath. Daughter of an oath, and God is light. That's not a beautiful couple? Daughter of an oath, and God is light. The light gets slain. The daughter of an oath. Oh, okay. He came to her, and he went to bed with her. Later she gave birth to a son, and David named him Solomon. Now the Lord loved the child, and sent word through Nathan the prophet that he should be named Jedediah for the Lord's sake. So Jedediah means loved by the Lord. So Solomon is supposed to be called Jedediah. Okay, here's one interesting thing. If David was fully acting as a kinsman redeemer for Uriah the Hittite, then was the son who died the one that would have been for the sake of Uriah, the firstborn by David to Bathsheba, and would have inherited all of that? Well, they died. So wouldn't then you would, I don't know the rules of kinsman redeemer well enough, but then Solomon, who is the next born, would take the name and honor of Uriah, I would think, but that's not what we have. We have no connection to. So I know how you were saying culturally, yeah, Eichmann here, that maybe there's the view that he was doing a redemptible thing and redeeming the name of the man, and this would have been an honor to the fallen soldier. He doesn't follow through with the redeeming the name of that man by raising up a child for him, which I think is what he should have done. I think he should have done that. So this just says the child is loved of God, which I think is in contrast to the child that died. We have two children, one dead, one alive. So Joab fought against Rabbah of the Ammonites and captured the royal city. Joab then sent messengers to David saying, I have fought against Rabbah and have captured the water supply of the city. Okay, so this is still in the interruption in the middle of this battle, this war that's going on. So now, assemble the rest of the army and besiege the city and capture it. Otherwise, I will capture the city and it will be named for me. Like, so Joab is like, hey, I've done all the hard work. Show up and finish this off so you get the praise and glory. Because if I do, I'm going to end up being like you were to Saul. We don't want that. Come on out. So David assembled all the army and went to Rabbah and fought against it and captured it. He took the crown for the king from his head. It was gold, weighed about 75 pounds, and held a precious stone, and it was placed on David's head. He also took from the city a great deal of plunder. He removed the people who were in it and made them labor with saws, iron picks, and iron axes, putting them to work at the brick kiln. This was his policy with all the Ammonite cities. Then David and all the army returned to Jerusalem. So David's just coming out and doing some cleanup and not, doing anything further. He's not out there fighting the whole battle. He just shows up to get the praise. Let me see how long this is. I don't know if I want to get into Absalom. Yeah, because if we start into Absalom, we get a whole long journey going on. So we will end there for today. So we're through 12. Wow. Okay. So that puts us only 10 days behind. We're now only 10 days behind instead of 2 weeks. You know, that's how we do. Yeah, didn't you claim one earlier? I'm watching. I thought you did. Yeah, that's early. So that God gave a second name to Solomon, and it doesn't appear after that. He still called him Solomon instead of Jedediah. Yeah, I know. We all call him Solomon or Solomon, not Jedediah. Uncle Diddy, I thought you had another one. Someone redeemed one earlier. Let me go look. Let me find it. There we go. Oh, you, okay. Oh, sorry. Redeemed J had one for Webby Pumpkin. Webby Pumpkin was Redeemed J had. Yeah, you looked it up? Okay. Webby Pumpkin. Well, what I need to do, I need to fix it so I can't get 2 requests for it on the same day. I apparently don't have that set up. I thought I did, because I can change it so you can only request it once. So, so let's go find Webby Pumpkin. Where are all of the quick actions? That's what I'm looking for. I don't know that I know Webby Pumpkin, so this will be fun. This will be fun. Let me just take a peek around. Okay, let me find it on here too so that I've got it open. Okay, so when I get there, I'm in the chat. So, all right. Hey, thanks for the great stream today, everybody. Fantastic time. Couple of raids. Had some raid parties coming in. What a fun time today in God's Word. Talking about other stuff too. Connected. ReachCon F, if you're interested. We will be back. We will be back at between 3:30 and 4. I might be a little late today, but we will be back 3:30, 4 o'clock EST. We will be doing Who is the Holy Spirit? We'll be doing Who is the Holy Spirit for Alpha Course, and we'll jump over into Discord following that and have a conversation. So you can stay in chat mode, you can do voice mode, you can do video mode, doesn't matter. We'll go over into chat for a deeper dive conversation after you watch the video. And as we've done, you can ask your questions, comments in the chat while we're going through that, and we should be all good. So, just looking here, seeing if there's anything else I forgot. That's doing preview. Let's pop that out. Oh, there it is. Okay, I found my clicker button. All right. So let me give you a blessing as you go forth wherever you're going today. May God's seeking comfort find you. May his loving arms bind you. May his might protect you. May his wisdom direct you. May the joyous love of Jesus Christ be with you and all those you know, both now and forevermore. Amen. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you all. Love you all. Had a great time. Had great conversations.
Dashing through pages, chronicles, gospels, prophets,
that's right.
sages, Leviticus, laws to Paul's fine phrases. Turning them corners, no spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, self-divine, flipped in scripts, endless grace you'll find. Psalm singing sweet, unbroken lines, hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food dinners. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Walk through the fire, no one limbers. Kings and judges, prophets profound. Plowing the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. Heavenly soundtrack, soul's urban sound. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? I'm blessed. No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold.